Adlestrop is a poem in 4 short verses about summertime by the Welsh author Edward Thomas. Thomas had written prose for most of his adult life, but when he was 36, partly under the influence of the great American poet Robert Frost, he branched out. Adlestrop was first published in the New Statesman in 1917 and nowadays is one of the best-loved English poems of the 20th century. In Britain, summers tend to be fairly fleeting. It often rains, or there are chores to complete, or you find yourself in the middle of a city or stuck in a traffic jam, or simply trapped in the office. Superficially, however, there are lots of elements to a perfect British summer's day. The genius of Adlestrop is that it eliminates most of them, so we don't get anything at all about ice creams, or sea breezes, or cricket, or freshly mown grass. Rather, it distills the season's essence into a few mystical moments. The poet's on a steam train which pulls into Adlestrop station. Adlestrop's a real village in Gloucestershire, although its station's long since gone. And then it just stops dead. Steam hisses, a blackbird sings, but apart from that, nothing happens. No one left and no one came, the poet tells us. The magic lies partly in what the enforced stop thrusts into the foreground. Superficially, the willows and willow herb and grass and meadowsweet, a few conical heaps of hay, the high cloudlets in the sky, the locomotive's hiss and the blackbird. On a deeper level, however, it's principally the stillness that presents itself. It's what the poet can't describe, but which we all recognise, because at one time or another in our lives, we've also been there. It ends with a dim intuition of eternity, but not overblown. Beyond the blackbird, and as it were augmenting it, the poet experiences mistier farther and farther, all the birds of Oxfordshire and Gloucestershire. The whole thing is based on a real experience which Thomas had in 1914 and which he recorded in his notebook. On the 24th of June, the train on which he was travelling from Paddington to Malvern made a scheduled stop, although in the poem it's unscheduled, at Adlestrop at 12:45. Thomas jotted down all the items that later appeared in the poem. He began making drafts the following January, and he produced several versions. Just over a month after that event, the First World War broke out. Thomas joined the army in 1915, and he was killed in the Battle of Arras in 1917. Adlestrop was published 3 weeks after his death. The English don't read much poetry anymore except at school, and that's a shame. Good novels and good plays and good poems can all stay with you for life, but only good poems possess the power to do so in the exact form in which they were first set down. In any case, this is one of those poems that's best read at this time of year.